Now, Goodluck Jonathan was sworn in for a second term as Nigeria's president Sunday. Meanwhile, his political opponents are in court, challenging the poll results. Analysts say the April 16th vote was the most fair in Nigeria's history, but that the post-election violence was actually the worst ever. VOA's Todd Grosshans has more.
Atahiru Jega is chairman of Nigeria's Independent National Election Committee, or INEC.
Many observers have also noted that the 2011 elections
were the most successful, transparent elections that I've seen.
This was likely the freest election in Nigerian history.
These elections were one of the most violent, if not the most violent, in Nigeria's 50 years since independence.
Compared to previous elections in Nigeria, the days before the vote had very little violence, not to mention a lot less ballot box stuffing, vote buying, and thuggish voter intimidation. It was really the 3 days after the election when violence reached historic levels. And, says Goodluck, it was mostly in the Muslim north of the country when it was apparent the Muslim candidate for president would lose.
More than 300 churches were burned during these days across 10 northern states.
certainly some of us, particularly we in the Electoral Commission, were surprised with the post-election violence.
Southern Kaduna State alone, more than 500 people killed.
Investigating the causes for the violence, according to Goodluck, will result in what many Nigerians already know. It's not so much about politics as it's about ethnic and religious tensions that, he says, have simmered just below the surface in Nigeria for a very long time.
Targeting people based solely on their ethnicity or religious identity is something that we have seen through the years within these states. And so not all of this violence is necessarily, can you easily classify it as political violence. It is also touching upon deep-seated intercommunal and sectarian issues.
Atahiru Jega says the Muslim-Christian divide in the country may have sparked some of the post-election violence, but Jega says it's really more about whether Nigerians can get an education and a job.
Some analysts have given a lot of pointers to what they perceive to be ethno-religious dimensions also of this. It may be true, but frankly, I see less of it than I see of the larger systemic issues of unemployment, illiteracy, and lack of proper education.
Then there's the matter of actually prosecuting those responsible for the violence, whatever the causes. A concern voiced to the panel of experts by this audience member.
There is a habit of uninvestigated, unpunished violence in Nigeria that I think needs to be addressed if we expect to do better in future.
During previous incidents or bouts of violence, the perpetrators of these crimes have not been held to account by the Nigerian authorities.
Goodluck says, however, that when it comes to the actual process of campaigning, registering, and voting, the April elections were a step forward for the political process in Nigeria.
The 2011 elections were a significant improvement over previous elections.
That was VOA's Todd Grosshans reporting.